Welcome back to the Inviting Shift podcast. I am your host, Christina Smith, and I am here today to talk to Sarah Maurer about how in midlife we can have more joy in our movement. So if, like me, you have a struggle getting your butt up out of the chair from in front of that computer and go do the movement, Sarah's here to help us figure out how we can enjoy it more. So Sarah is a life coach and a breathworker based in Denver, Colorado. Her passion is coaching the unconscious mind to produce positive, effortless, and lasting change in her clients' lives. It really upsets her when so-called experts try to sell a cookie-cutter approach to food and fitness. She profoundly cares that you have a loving, supporting, trusting partnership with your body. I'm so excited about this. Welcome, Sarah, to our show.
Hey, Christina. Thanks for having me on.
I love this. I know that y'all can't see this, but you're going to hear it in the next few minutes during this podcast. Sarah's got an unbelievable amount of energy. And, and this is important because it really has to do, I believe, with what she's going to be talking to us about today, and how she's been able to shift other people into this more fitnessy space, even if we don't feel like very healthy, fitnessy people. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about you and what it is that you do.
Hey, so this question is always so hard for me because I feel like in the past few years, I've worn so many hats. But yeah, I kind of started my journey in personal growth, development, coaching. I was a blogger, just helping people with their fitness, getting ready for trips through my blog. And then I really felt like, I really should have some credentials if I'm giving fitness advice, nutrition advice. So I became a personal trainer, working mostly online with runners, hikers, mountaineers, people, doing fitness things in the outdoor space. And I found through that, I love the mindset part of coaching. I mean, I love the fitness part too and the nutrition part too, but the mindset was what I always just felt so drawn to with clients. So made another pivot and became a life coach, working primarily with athletes, active people. And yeah, also am a breath worker and in training to become a conversational hypnotist. So I don't know what you call that. I can't think of a job description, but coaching all the things.
Yeah, very cool. And so I know before this, we were talking about how there's two parts to becoming healthier or more fit, or basically doing any kind of shift that we want to do. Is there's a logistical part, like what do I actually need to go do? And then there's this emotional conflict that comes up that goes, I don't want to do that. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I want to. It just feels like a lot of work. So I know that you do a lot of work, the mindset work of how do we push ourselves beyond that?
Yeah, such a good question. And yeah, if you've ever kind of been wanting to exercise, maybe had a New Year's resolution to start going to the gym and then it falls off, or you have a hard time getting started in the first place, this is something I work so much with people about. And I think one of the key things where people fall down is that we're trying to get ourselves to exercise through an emotion that maybe doesn't feel very good. So for
Mm.
example, yeah, if you are, thinking I should go to the gym, I'm so lazy, I never do it. Like every year I try to set this New Year's resolution and it falls apart. Like, what is wrong with me? That's creating a lot of negative emotion, right? That's creating, yeah, just such a bad feeling every time you're going to exercise. And the thing is, a lot of us, just because of the way we're programmed, socialized, can kind of white knuckle through that for a little bit. We're like, oh, this feels terrible, but I'm going to make myself go to the gym. But if every time you're going to the gym, it's just a struggle and you just end up feeling terrible about yourself, you're not going to be able to make that a lifelong habit, which I think is what most people are really wanting whenever they're
And a
thinking, I want to be
positive habit
fit.
at that, right? I mean, instead
Right?
of being like Who wants to get up every day and be like, I have to go do that thing I hate?
Oh, I know, right? Like, who does that?
I love that. Yeah. And I think that that's where a lot of us get tripped up. We know what it's like to go to
Right,
the gym, but something in our brains makes it so much harder. And I hear the words all the time from my clients that are like, I have to force myself to go.
yeah,
And it's like, ooh, yeah, that doesn't even sound fun. Like, and you're doing this for your own benefit or for, for your own joy or happiness or health or whatever,
right.
because it seems like it's like a punishment. And I think that we're often so used to punishing ourselves and using that shame factor, right? A lot of
Yeah,
us were taught how to behave when we were growing up by being shamed.
mhm,
God's going to see you, somebody's going to see you, there's going to be consequences.
right.
And so if we don't do the thing, we feel like we have to punish ourselves. But if we go to do the thing that we've committed to, knowing in our logistical mind that it's going to help us feel more energetic, it's going to help us
Mhm,
feel healthier. And yet we look at it like it's this big block in our way, or it's a big hassle for us to
mhm.
have to go through this. What are some ways? How can we shift that white knuckling into more joy is really what I want to know, because I got to tell you, no habits that I ever had to white knuckle ever lasted very long.
Yeah.
You have to have some enjoyment in them, isn't that right?
So true. Yeah, me neither. I've never been able to white knuckle myself into anything. So yeah, that is the question, right? Like, how do you create joy around something that maybe a lot of us have negative associations with? Like, I mean, if you think of all the things, like, unless you are like a really natural athlete that came up having a lot of positive emotion around like athletic participation, a lot of us have like horrible experiences from gym class, from
Mm.
being chosen last for the team, from um and then especially if we're socialized as women about our bodies that just kind of go along with that. So how do you create like start to kind of break all that down and create joy around it? So I mean, I'll share a few things that I think are really helpful and feel free to hop in here. Yeah, I feel like one of the most important things is just to really kind of, especially when you're getting started, really de-emphasize the part where you get fit and really think about how can I make this fun?
Mm.
And really, we kind of have this concept that getting fit means we go to the gym and lift weights or we go and like run 5 miles. Really, fundamentally, all you got to do to get more fit is just move your damn body. Like, how
It
can you
sounds
move
so
your body?
simple.
Right? It's so simple, so complicated, right? So, how can you do that in a way that gives you joy? Is that like
Mm.
walking your dog every morning before work? Is that like playing with your kids? Is that like doing something fun with a friend, going to the rock climbing. This is so Colorado. I'm like, you go to the rock climbing gym, but maybe yeah, just go for a walk or a bike ride with a friend, like bringing other people into it. And from there, once you've kind of got this association in your brain of moving the body is fun, I feel good after, the process itself is enjoyable, I think then is the only time I would start bringing in, like, maybe I want to do something a little more systematic to reach whatever goal it is I have. And also keeping in mind, like, the goal can be very, like what is it for just being fit? Really, the amount of time you have to move your body is so small. Like, what did they say? Like 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week, like 5 days a week, you go out for 30 minutes, do something active, like there you go. So, yeah, also realizing that even though we're kind of programmed that like we have to run 5 miles a day to be fit, it's so not true.
Mm.
We can actually
Thank
be
God.
very healthy with very little. So, sorry, Christina.
No,
Go
I was just saying thank God, because that's a story I was going to bring up is like, I know like 5 years in a row, I was like, I'm going to run a 5K. I'm going to do it. And I
ahead.
did all the training every year. I white knuckled my way through it. Right.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I hated
Aw.
it. And yet I thought because it was like supposed to be, it's good for other people or whatever, that I was supposed to just be able to do that. When in reality, like my kind of exercise is like I have dance videos and
Oh my
stuff
gosh,
that
I love
bring
it.
a lot more joy to myself, right? Than having to do that thing that everybody else does just because, going to the gym for 2 hours every other day works for some people. That doesn't have to work for you. And I love how you're just like, just get up and move. Like,
Yeah.
it can be anything. It can be walking your dog, like you said. It could be playing in the backyard. It could be just going for my husband does an every day at lunch. He goes for a walk for an hour, and that's his exercise. He incorporates it into his day. And so it just makes it simpler. I will bring up another one that I think is
Yeah.
really important is the words that we use around it. If
Ooh,
we're saying, I have to
so good.
force myself to go to the gym, I have to force myself to eat better, I have to force myself. God, that's so aggressive, right?
I
Like,
feel good, not.
it doesn't sound like something I'm choosing. And yet, the reason we make the resolution or the commitment to moving more or getting healthier is because we really want that, that is actually something we're craving. And so we make it sound like it's something awful like cough medicine when really it's like our chocolate cake. We're saying that this is the most important thing. Why why are we talking about it in such a negative way? So I think it's about also reminding ourselves with our words that this is
Yeah.
something I'm doing for myself that's actually really great. This is a really great break in my day for me to take care of myself if I'm going to go, wherever, move wherever for 30 minutes. That 30 minutes is actually something that I've been setting myself up for. And I think that this is what you talk about when you talk about positive emotional response is that
Mhm.
we need to start associating more positive, happy things with it. And that's why I love that you brought up the dog and the kids, because if we're doing something with somebody that we love, it's a little less arduous. Or at least for me, I want to speak for myself. It's a little
Yeah.
less hard if I'm doing it with someone else.
Mhm. Yeah, agree, yeah. Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, that actually I think is a tip I often give to people that are having a little bit of a hard time getting started. Just like, whether you join an organized activity, go to a class at the gym, like, just have a buddy that likes to exercise with you. It can be your partner, your kid, like, bringing other people into it is, like, powerful because it's more
Mhm.
fun. It kinda takes the focus off yourself and all the things you're thinking about yourself.
Mhm.
And yeah, just social things in general tend to be
And
so
some
much more fun.
accountability.
And accountability. Oh my god.
Right? I mean, because I know that if I promise Susie I'm gonna walk with her every day at 1 p.m., I'm more likely to
Yeah.
go walking at 1 p.m. than I am
Mhm.
if I go to myself and go, "Yeah, you're just gonna walk every day." And then I'm like, it's 1:05. I don't know if I feel like it. Seems chilly outside, right? But if
Mhm.
Susie was waiting out there for me, I would
Yeah.
just pop up and go out there, right?
Yeah, you can stand up, Susie.
Yeah, right? So that can bring a little bit more
Yeah.
help to us.
So
What
good.
else can we do in order to start? And I know you can bring in some of your modalities too, all these
Yeah.
modalities that you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So one of the ones I'm really digging right now is this whole idea of mental rehearsal. So this is
Mm,
really powerful and proven by science. So basically, all you're doing is just getting really comfortable, kind of taking a few deep breaths in through your nose, exhale twice as long through your mouth, close your eyes, and then really see exercise as you want it to be. And you can even kind of walk yourself through the part where you tend to get stuck. Is it the part where you put on your clothes? Is it the part where you walk out the door to get to like work out, to do your walk, to do your run? Is it the part where yeah, even you get out of work on time so that you have time to actually exercise? So yeah, just kind of make a movie in your head, really seeing yourself do it, seeing a smile on on your face,
mm,
feeling what it's going to feel like during the exercise, but especially afterward. Like,
mm,
most of us have had some experience where hopefully we've exercised and maybe not felt like physically amazing in the moment, because exercise is not always so comfortable, but afterward, oh, you're
yeah.
relaxed, you're calm, your mind is calm. So just really see yourself feeling that way. And yeah, as you're seeing it, kind of float into it when you're ready. Like you've got this image on a movie screen, go in there, actually inhabit your body, feel it, and really just give yourself a nice dose of how amazing that's going to be. Paint the picture you want it to look like, and then come back out. And that's a completely different feeling. Like when, as you say, Christina, you're like forcing yourself, you're whipping yourself to go to the gym, to go outside and walk. Completely different when you're in a different emotional state.
Mm. Yeah. And for those of you who have had these, what Sarah talked about, these negative past experiences where maybe you were picked last in gym class or you just hated it, or you were like me, oh my gosh, I failed swimming today.
Oh,
I can tell you this story real quick.
it's hard.
I had to jump in the pool wherever my name landed in the line, there was like two huge football players, one on each side of me. And every time we jumped in the pool, mind you, I was never actually taught how to swim. I just kind of figured it out. Um, the tidal wave from these two guys, it was like it
Oh
would
my
take
God.
me 4 years to get to the other side of the pool, it felt like, because of the amount of waves that were going. So I hated it. I hated it so much in school. And, I was one of those kids that was maybe picked last because I was like the
Yeah.
book nerd, right? I wasn't the athletic one. I didn't even know how to play most of those games. But so for me, I've collected all this evidence as to why exercise is
Yeah.
hard, why it's uncomfortable, right? All of these. I know that you say negative emotions. My clients would be like, Christina, you never say that. No, I say uncomfortable emotions, but
There you
all of
go.
those uncomfortable emotions, we have them all stacked up. I can remember all the way back to probably kindergarten of ideas of like why physical exercise wasn't my alley. But what we have to start doing is start collecting evidence as to why it's really beautiful. Because even though I have all of those uncomfortable experiences, I do have a handful of experiences where, like in college, it was really fun to go to my aerobics class every day, right? Like, and even weightlifting, learning how to lift weights properly was actually
Mhm.
not bad in college. So there's other experiences that we can collect. But I think one of the most important things is that every time we do something that we celebrate ourselves so that we're
Yeah.
reinforcing this pile of evidence that we want to reinforce, which is exercise is really great. Maybe eating a little healthier, actually, ooh, I feel better. I have more
Yeah.
energy, right? All of those things to keep reinforcing that. So when we are done with an exercise, we can say, wow, that actually felt really good. It was
Yeah.
really hard during it, but it really feels good. And sitting in that and reminding ourselves, because I think that that positive reinforcement, that celebration is going to be very, very helpful moving
Yeah.
forward. I know that I always like pat myself on the back. I quite literally do it. People have seen me do this, and I'm just like,
Aw.
yes, Christina, great job. Like
She
you
is
did the
patting
thing you didn't
herself.
want to do,
She
and you
does.
did it.
Oh my gosh, that is so great.
But some positive reinforcement, I think, celebrating what is we have been doing well, because we can get
Yeah.
so stuck on, oh, I didn't finish that exercise routine, or I
Mhm.
didn't do enough push-ups, or I didn't do those things exactly how they could have been done.
Right.
Um,
Your brain
yeah,
will always find, like, the negative part even when you did it so well. So you really, like you said, have to redirect it a little bit.
yeah, and redirect it is sometimes hard because we get in this survival versus thrival, which I've talked about before. And surviving is like I'm avoiding something, which with health isn't as easy. Like, it's not like I'm avoiding getting overweight or my A1C going up or anything like that,
Mhm.
um, because those things are hard to change over time. They take time to change, is what I mean to say. And
Mhm.
it's not overnight success. And I think sometimes we get distracted when we don't get that instant gratification. Like, I did the
Yeah.
thing, and so now I should have lost 10 pounds.
Right? I went to the gym once, why am I not? Skinnier?
Yeah. If you want to like how you show up every day of your life, then you need to get intentional. And that's part of the intentional and aligned method that I will be presenting soon. But for now, I want you to get really clear. What is it that you want? Who are you now? What's most important to you? So that you can get clear on your intentions. These are the first steps that every single one of my coaching clients do when we get together, because I need to know what direction they're pointed in. So if you're not sure what direction you're pointed in, I have created the intentions blueprint for you. You'll get the first 3 module overviews of how exactly I take my clients through all the steps to get exactly clear on how it is that they want to show up, what their intentions are, so that they can feel good about themselves even when the goal doesn't turn out the way that they want to. It's a very simple process, and I've outlined it all in the intentions blueprint. You can grab the link below or go to christina-smith.com/intentions blueprint.
Yeah. So tell me what it is that you really, really enjoy as far as physical activity. What are your favorite ways to get active?
Gosh, yeah, and, so really fundamentally for me, what it all comes down to, and this is also what I recommend for people that just maybe, like, don't have, like you were saying, like, trying to find evidence. If you're really struggling and you wanna create some evidence, get outside.
Mm.
That's really, like, my number one thing, so just trying to I mean, I'm a runner, I'm a hiker, I used to be a high altitude mountaineer, not so much anymore. But yeah, like I used to like really fundamentally what it's about for me is just getting outside every weekend, every morning, at least trying to get out and take a little bit of a walk. I'm actually a huge insomniac, so if this is you too, if you can relate, like just having a hard time sleeping, probably one of the best things you can do is getting out in the first thing in the morning, just walking a bit, moving, getting some sunlight on your face, even if it's cold. Even just getting out for a few minutes is so helpful. And then yeah, like I'm a very busy person. Like I have a job, a day job, I have a coaching business, I'm a family caregiver. So it has become kind of where I can fit it in. And I've just decided that I'm going to really let anytime I can get out and move my body, even if it's not like the hour I had planned, if I can get out for 20 minutes, that's really enough. I'm just going to let that be enough. So that's often what happens during the week. Like I have a planned workout schedule that becomes about half of what I actually planned. And that's fine. I can still do the things. I can still have fun with my friends on the weekend. And then yeah, I'm trying to think. Like really make it yours. Like as a trainer, like I was always told you have to lift. Lifting is so good for women. Honestly, when I'm training for really big races and long runs, I don't have time to lift. And not there's a million trainers. Or I hope there's a million trainers listening to your show, but like all the trainers listening to your show just went, "Oh my goodness, that's terrible." But honestly, like you have to make it work for you. And
I like
there's like all this science and rules. And what if you just did it your way and got kind of messy and played and see what happens? So yeah, just some thoughts from
Yeah, I
what
love that because
yeah.
it's really what I believe it's progress over perfection, right? Like I think people
Mhm.
start the beginning of the year and they're like, I'm going to work out at the gym 5 days a week. I'm
Right.
going to do these exercises
No.
and those. And we make it so hard for ourselves
It's
to even,
true.
excuse me, to
Bless
even
you.
get started or start that momentum.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
believe that it's
go ahead.
really about momentum, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I can wake up and stretch for 5 minutes, maybe next week I can get
Oh,
up and
yeah.
stretch for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And I love
Yeah.
your idea of going outside in nature,
Mhm.
this like changing your venue, right?
Yeah.
Like get out of your every routine that you have every day.
Right. All
And
the neuroscience says, like, if you like going outside, it's one of the best
yes,
things you can do for your mental health, and to exercise outside is a lot easier for many people.
yeah. And fresh air. I mean, some of
Yeah.
us that don't leave the house and work from home or whatever, it's just to get that fresh air and to feel that sunlight on your face. It's a big deal, even if you're only out there for 15 minutes at first,
Right.
right? Like just
Yeah.
get some fresh air, man. You never know what that's going to change. I mean, I believe that when I go outside, I even breathe differently. Like it
Oh,
just
cool.
automatically changes for me. And maybe it's because the two of us live in beautiful
I
Colorado.
know.
It's very
We're used
easy
to
to go
it.
outside
Yeah.
and be amazed.
It is cold right now.
It's a little cold. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely change your state going outside for
Yeah.
sure. So I want to cover some of the things that we talked about. So I heard the go outside was one
Mhm.
way that we can start enjoying it, right? And
Yeah.
whatever, you want to hula hoop outside, you want to
Oh, yeah.
do some, some push-ups, whatever, man, walk around your yard, whatever it is, as long as you're moving and it's, you're
Yeah.
starting to associate positively with it is what I'm
Mhm.
hearing. And you're starting to see things a little bit differently. It just gives us, I always believe that just changing our environment sometimes helps us make different choices. So
Yeah.
even if you're not sure you want to move, go outside for a few minutes and just see, maybe you'll feel like moving. We never know. Or just walking around the block. Like I always have to convince myself little blocks at a time to make habits. Like,
Oh, I like
okay,
that.
you can walk for 15 minutes this week, and then next week we'll do 30 minutes, right? And then
Right.
that way I'm building myself up. I'm not making it so hard that I do it once or twice and I give up.
Right. Yeah,
Because that's
literally, like, every time I go for a run, I'm like, "This is a 2-mile run until 2 miles are done, and then I'll decide if I wanna do, like" say
right.
I have, like, 5 plans, so, yeah.
Because sometimes after we've started 5 or 10 minutes of it, we're like,
Yeah.
okay, I get it. This is the thing. I'm back into it. I can do
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
Like once I've already
Definitely.
started, that's the hardest part for me. I don't
Yeah.
know about everybody else, but getting started,
Mhm.
just getting the clothes on and getting my butt
Yes.
out the door is sometimes the hardest part. So if we could just get through that.
Yeah, if you really struggle, like, I've had people just, like, their goal is to put their workout clothes on and do it for, like, 5 minutes, and then
Mhm.
like, I think that's important too, like, if you make a deal like that with yourself, it's important to allow yourself to stop after 5 minutes, but I do, I've gone for runs where I stopped after 2 miles, but I'd say, like, 95% of the time, like you said, Christina, once you're in it, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do more."
I mean, I feel the same way about doing dishes, right? So
Right?
sometimes I'll be like, you can wash dishes for 10 minutes. And then if you're not done,
Yeah.
you can stop if you really want. But by that time, I already have half the dishes done. I'm going to finish
Right.
them, And so it helps us bring that momentum. But if
Mhm.
I'm having one of those days where I'm like going to break a dish because I'm really hating it so much,
Yeah.
I can just stop and be like, okay, you tried.
Yeah.
You did your best.
Awesome.
You
Yeah.
showed up for what you promised.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
connecting it back to emotion, sorry. Like, yeah, it's a much easier thought, like, I'm gonna run for 5 minutes than I'm gonna run for, like, 2
5
hours. I'm
miles.
gonna do 1 dish or I'm gonna do all the dishes, like, it's much more
Right.
comfortable, as you say, the
Right.
emotion.
And even if you don't finish the entire thing that you were, your bigger goal, it's again progress over
Yeah,
perfection is like, is this
I like
more than I
that.
was doing last week? Then I'm winning. Like that's how I always look at it. Like
I'm
I'm
winning.
winning if I'm doing more than I did last
Right.
week. Like I'm doing awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then just collecting that evidence, that new evidence that, yeah, you know what, when I work out, I do feel really good. And for the rest of the day, I don't get that. Like, I always try to notice things like if I work out in the morning, I know I'm probably not going to hit that 3 p.m. dead block where I just want to kind of fall over and be done for the rest of the day or go take a nap or something. I know I can actually power through it. So that's like one of my celebrations is like, look,
Yeah.
Christina, when you exercise, you
Yeah.
don't have to take nearly as much naps. You can actually get more done, even though
Mhm.
in my mind, I'm like, if I take time out for exercise, I'm going to get less done.
Yeah.
That's not always true. I
Yeah.
often get more stuff done if I have taken the time to exercise.
Yeah, they say, like, the way to become hella productive is to focus, and, yeah, exercise is so good for that.
Hmm. Yeah. It brings that blood back up to our brains, which many of us who sit on our butts in front of a computer lose over the course of a day. Our breathing gets really short and all kinds of things happen. So I love
Yeah.
this conversation. So what we said was start small and start fun. So if it starts with like a my exercise used to start with a dance party in my kitchen
Oh, I
because
love
I was
that.
already there. The music was already on, right? And it was fun for me, right? Nobody's watching. I can move however I want to. And now, of course, there's
Mhm.
millions of programs that you can purchase to have videos on end of whatever it is that you want. So, if you always dreamed of picking up karate, go do it. Like, I love your example of like going to a class or getting that
Yeah.
accountability. Let's not forget
Mhm.
about that tip because I think that that's really, really important. Again, if I know somebody else is waiting on me or I've, told somebody I would be somewhere at a certain time, I'm more likely to do it. Because if I just promise myself, I can flake that off real easily. If I want to, I can make up all kinds of excuses for myself. So if you're an excuse maker like me, really having somebody accountable, and it doesn't even have to be necessarily somebody who does it with you. You can just get an accountability partner, even if they're across the
Yeah.
country, and say, "Hey, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Will you do it
Yeah.
with me?" Or, I mean, because these days you can FaceTime while you're walking and have a whole conversation with somebody. So it doesn't have to be someone local. So if you're like, "Oh, I'm in a new place and I don't know many people," call a friend from wherever. Set up a time to go dance in your kitchen with her or walk. But make it fun,
Yeah.
right?
So
Awesome.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything else for our listeners today?
No, I mean this has been awesome. Yeah, I mean I just like I really want you listeners to know exercise is for you, it's for everyone, it's for everybody, it's for every age. I don't care if you're 93, I don't care if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm 100 pounds overweight or 200 pounds overweight. It's just moving. We just overcomplicate it in such a
Yeah,
like epic way. What if it was just moving your body joyously in ways that are fun and feel good?
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And we could, I mean, that's what seems so hard about this is like we know when we go do it, especially if we go do things with friends or whatever, that we're going to
Yeah,
have a pretty good time. I mean,
yeah,
like you said, in the middle of it, it may not feel like the best times.
right.
It's going to feel hard. We're not trying to tell you that if you're going to go climb a mountain, it's not going to feel hard. It's going to feel hard. But there is this like not only like the hormones that balance, and then you get all the good feeling hormones from doing all the exercise, but there's also this, like, for me at least, there's an inner pride of going, "Yes, Christina, you did
Oh,
that thing that you said was gonna be so hard, and you did it anyway. You can do
yes,
anything," right? So
yeah,
exercise is really one way that we can build our own confidence, which is what I love about this
yeah.
conversation and why I had you come on here is because these are all ways that we build our confidence as well. And you can
Mhm.
take these same tips, apply them to just about any shift that you want to make, whether that's I want to cook more healthy food for myself, I want to
Yeah.
stay more focused, I want to quit some bad habit. We can use all of these same tools to make it fun, to collect that evidence that we have, that what we're doing is really great for us and is working out. And we can actually use that for anything to build our confidence. And
Yeah.
so remember, everybody, confidence is a skill. It's not something that happens by accident. It's actually a practice that we put in. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing with us how we can build our practice. And I know that you have a little gift for us called Unconventional Morning Routines.
That's
Tell us
right.
about that.
Yeah, so this is I kind of came up with I have a friend who is another coach and she is like the queen of the morning routine and she gets up at 5 a.m. and journals and does her morning pages, does all the things you're supposed to do for a morning routine. And I look at that and my brain just screams. Like I'm
Mm.
so neurodivergent. I'm like, oh my gosh, like could never. And I'm up at a different time every day. And just yeah. So I created something. It's something that is helpful for me and has been helpful for so many of my clients. It's just like a flexible checklist of just like useful things you can do in your morning. You pick the ones you want to do. You pick when you want to do them. You don't have to do them first thing in the morning. Honestly, I follow this checklist pretty closely, and I kind of start at 7 when I get up. And maybe if I have morning clients or a morning run, it ain't done till 1 in the afternoon. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. And I just find it keeps my entire day like calmer and more focused. So you can download it. I think Christina's going to put up a link.
I will put a link around here so that you can get that. Excuse me. Awesome. Yeah, I morning routines that are really, really structured or hours long. My husband's a morning person. He does great.
Oh
He
my
can jump on
gosh.
any bandwagon you push past him. I
What?
am the opposite. I am not a morning person. I'm more of an evening person. And I've
Right.
become like a little bit better at my morning routine where it's not hours and hours long, but there
Yeah.
is a little bit of everything that I need to kind of get myself straight, get myself set on my intentions. And so I love this unconventional checklist. So if
Yes.
there's those of you who also struggle with mornings, it sounds like a really good resource for you. So go download it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah, so much for being
Thank
on the
you.
Inviting Shift podcast. I really appreciate you.
No, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Hey, one more thing. When we are all more confident and full of self-love, we can act more intentionally and mindfully. What would a world like that look like? I want to know. One way that you can help me with this vision is to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you listen to it. It helps more than you know, and it's just a few clicks to help me create a more beautiful world. And as always, remember to be gentle with your humanness.